Welcome to Productive Joy with Dr. Christie, where fun meets action.
Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Productive Joy. I am so excited to introduce you to my first knight, which is a big deal. So Sir Paul Flynn is here with us today, but before I introduce him, I need you to follow this podcast. It makes such a difference. If you aren't sharing this with everyone you know, then they won't know amazing people like Paul have joined us, and they'll miss out on a free shot of B12. And I don't think that's okay. So make sure that you are sharing this episode and that you are asking people to create a little more productive joy in their lives as well. So let me introduce you to Sir Paul Flynn, who happens to be an actual knight. He is also part of the GRO Foundation, which is, he's going to tell us all about it, but sustainability, environmental, and social impact are a big deal to him. He is a trust creator. He's also a dad of two who are 5 and 8, and their favorite thing to do is to fight with their daddy. Now, I have a feeling that that is all done in fun. But ironically, they were born in 2 different countries, and this man is Ugandan and Irish, which is an interesting combination, born in Germany and currently lives in Bulgaria. So I don't even know where to start with you, Paul, but I am so excited that you're here. Welcome to Productive Joy.
Thank you so much. I'm so very happy to be here. Really looking forward to this conversation. It's amazing. I love your energy.
So what would you say to our friends to make them keep listening that's better than what I've already said?
I think together we can talk about the true key to work-life balance and leading a life with purpose that makes you happy.
Oh my goodness. Wouldn't that be great? Okay, well, let's go ahead and jump right in. Do you have a magic wand? How do you make that happen? Because I couldn't agree more. And yet I think it's kind of an elusive idea.
I politely disagree. I think life, the challenge I think most people have with life is that they think work-life balance is 2 different things. Everyone talks about work-life balance, but I truly, truly believe, from having traveled around a lot and just grown up in different cultures, work-life balance is actually 3 different things. Ooh. Because life, we only have this one life. And the truth is, there's nothing we need to achieve. Life, well, there's a lot of things we need to do, but life is a participation event. And there's a participation trophy, and that's your gravestone. I hope mine will say, Paul Flynn participated from there till there, loving father, good friend. That's it. There's no prize. There's no money. There's nothing. How did you participate in the life with those marks? Your career, how much money you made, which rank you had, doesn't matter. If you can make the people around you happy, if you really realize that, most of us are much, much richer than we think.
I could not agree more. And I love the way you phrase that, right? That life is a participation sport. We are supposed to be contributing in this space and doing things and not just sitting around. I've heard it said that the dash between the birth and death date is really where all the action happened, right? And yes. I want my dash to be rich and full of life and love. Who taught you that, Paul? Did you know that from the beginning? I mean, you have such an interesting upbringing. I'd love for you to tell the story about how you came to be, because that's not a combination that you see very often. But yeah. Who taught you that?
Well, back in the, as you said, I'm a child of the diaspora. So my father was born in the 50s in Ireland, which at the time was very, very poor. And in the 60s, 70s, when he was a late teenager, in his 20s, going through lots of turmoil. My mother's Ugandan, so also that was independence and civil war and lots of turmoil. And I'm the product of a London party. So both my parents in their 20s were kicked out by my grandparents because they're too revolutionary and too wild. So they're both sent to London to be away from the troubles. And they met at a party. I'm the product of a London party because they both knew the same war journalist and said, let's make peace. Yeah, let's make peace. And back in the day, that was a rare combination. So my father took my mother back to Ireland. She didn't see another Black person for 3 years. For 3 full years. She was like the only Black person she thought in the country. Yeah. And she often thought, why did I leave a village in Africa to live in some village?
This way.
Yeah, they just like traveling. And then they said, well, after they had enough of that, they thought about going to the United States. We said, hey, I don't know anybody in Germany. That's what parents thought. So I was born in Germany with my brother and my sister, but then was educated in the Netherlands and Scandinavia. I worked all over the place because my parents moved around a lot and taught me lots of cultures. And this insight with difference of what's the truth and what's beneficial. I grew up in Germany, very industrious, very hardworking, very punctual, very straight. But then all my family were in Ireland several times a year, huge families, big, loud, boisterous, telling lots of stories and living through these stories and sharing the stories. And then every few years, my first memories actually, I was age 2, I was in Africa. So all my life, I've also been going back to Africa. And there it's thinking of clans, and they have a very, very strict and close family ties, how everybody is. So the truth of how everybody lives, what everybody, so it's 3 different cultures, everybody having a very, very different way of saying, this is how things are done, this is true, this is right, this is moral. And I just realized, wow, none of that seems to be true, simply one flight away. So what's the truth in between? And no matter how rich everybody is, no matter everybody had very different lives. In Africa, most people are subsistence farmers. They have no money, they have no careers, but they're happy.
Yeah.
And what's that missing with people who have everything? I know some very, very wealthy people through my work. They're not always happy. What are they missing? They're missing that connection. They're missing participation in life. And if you know that, if you know your number, what you need to maximize your participation in life, not your career, not being 200 hours away a week or whatever it is, but what can you do to live the life you truly want to live, to keep those around you happy? That is the secret of success. That's how success will be measured. How many people can you make happy, and how many happy and joyful and loving moments can you have in your life? That should be the measurement.
You know what? I love that. And I mean, you're on Productive Joy, right? Like it makes
Yes.
that you
I work a lot. For
Yeah.
those thinking, I do work my 100 hours a week. Very
Absolutely.
frequently.
Well, and that's the thing, right? That fun and work don't have to be mutually exclusive. And that's really why I started the podcast and why I do this. But I want to kind of rewind for a second on the fact that, okay, what you just said is really profound. And I think something that's missing in most circles right now. And that's that you could take a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and make the version of you that is the best version of you. And there aren't quite so many absolutes, right? Like, I am not this, I am that. And you said, no, I'm all of those things. And I just wonder. So you said in the 70s, so we're probably similar in age, right? And so we didn't grow up in a time where everybody was as accepting. Did you struggle with that? Did you struggle with where do I fit? Or did you just always recognize I fit where I want to fit?
I had to learn that. But again, like just learning as a child. So I grew up speaking multicultural languages because I never fit anywhere. So in Germany, I'm just an African.
Yeah.
I went to a high school. At the time, that was also still rare. Most of the foreigners at the time were refugees.
Sure.
So they wouldn't speak the language. They wouldn't be educated. I came from an educated family. I was educated. I was very supported. I was very lucky to be loved. So I didn't fit in. Yeah, I remember once, age 12, I went to a new school, and the teacher, I was in the highest possible school, gymnasium, it's called, that's the feeding school at university. And a teacher during a break kicked me out, pulled me by the ear, opened the fence, threw me into the next school because they were sure that I had just snuck in and didn't belong there. There were 1,000 students, and I was the only person of color for most of my time in that student. So it didn't exist. That has changed now. People just didn't know. So it's not the people just didn't know. So in Bulgaria, where I live right now, for example, there's not many people of my complexion, but everybody's really friendly because all the foreigners here who come from Africa, they are actually medical students. So it's always the background. So it's always the background of where do the people come from. So what do people assume to be true? That changes the perception.
Yeah.
But in Germany, I was an African. In Ireland, I was the German. I'm the German Flynn. Yeah, I'm the German family. In Africa, with my African family, first of all, over there, I'm a giant. Yeah? Apparently, I'm quite short. In Uganda, in my corner, I'm like head and shoulders above everybody. It's amazing. Yeah. But there, I'm a white man. I'm Muzungu. So I'm always a part, but that also helped me to learn to always be a part of different people, of different groups, to fit in, to understand and also forgive. Perceptions, expectations, because when you talk to someone, you always say walk a mile in one's shoes. It's easily said, but to truly understand, just growing up that way, their truth, their perspective, their views are just different. So truly try to see, why do they think that way? Why is that? And then with enough love and patience, you can speak any language.
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely, you can. And I am just so impressed with your fervor and your joy. Like you exude joy, sir, in every possible way. And I kind of love that. So I'm going to ask you my favorite question because I can't wait to hear the answer. If you had to describe productive joy, how would you describe it?
Most people say that, you need to enjoy the journey. Yeah, you need to enjoy what you're doing. But I think if you find joy in the results that you create, you can accept any challenge that is thrown in your way. So, for example, without going too much into what we do, we talk about it later. But I work with a foundation. Among many other things, we take children off the street of Africa, Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, other places, and you hear some really hard stories, heartbreaking stories. Yeah, I'm a man, and yeah, it's okay to cry.
Yeah, well, and with
But
little boys too, I'm sure you look at it and go, "My gosh, not my kids," right? And I'm gonna say
exactly.
like,
Oh
yeah.
no, it's me crying. Oh no,
I know it's
yeah,
you
fine.
crying. I'm more looking at it and going, "Oh my gosh, I'm sure you have this heart for all the kids because you have your own," and you're like, "Okay, we need to save all
Yeah.
peace."
That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. That's my mission in life, to create solutions to help people get out of poverty forever. That's what I'm dedicated to with my foundation, all the work I do around that. And that sometimes is hard work. And people must, again, that's why I think work-life balance are three different things.
Yeah.
If you enjoy your life, your everyday life, and if you find balance through other things as a separate activity, then the hardship of work, if the purpose of your work becomes to fund your life, if work isn't the achievement in and of itself, but the results you create, that enables you, it becomes an infinite strength that you find in yourself to achieve and accomplish anything you can do. And I think that's a challenge. Most people think, oh, I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, and they give up.
Yeah.
But finding what you just said, yeah, finding that purpose and that drive inside yourself, no external validation, no external support, no that. If you really say, listen, I'm doing this because I believe in it and I'm living the life I want to lead, any hardship becomes just an administrative problem
Yeah.
that you can shrug off, get up the next day, and continue. And it's connecting to that inner strength that becomes the solution to achieve anything you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So to circle back to my original question about who taught you that, I think the answer that you gave was life taught you that, right? Like life taught you that this is all coming from within. I get to make this decision, right? Productive joy is something you produce. It's not something that happens to you. You can't just wake up in the morning and say, okay, here comes joy. No, you have to look for it. You have to find it. You have to manifest.
And you have to find it in yourself.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You have to find it in yourself. And I've literally, with what I do, very lucky, because this sounds like the beginning of a joke, but this is true, spent a day, like in a single day, I met a king, a bishop, and an orphan. I had breakfast, dinner, and lunch. Yeah. And like, so I dine with kings. I'm a lucky man. Yeah. Sometimes. But to see very, very different worlds and very different perspectives and very different opportunities. And yet everybody still has this.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just because we forgot interrupted, I just repeated. So I've had to look that in one strange day, I had breakfast with the king, I had lunch with the bishop, and then dinner with an orphan, actually a group of orphans.
Wow.
Different lives, different perspectives, but they all still have struggles. And that's what taught me, seeing people with immense wealth. I've also worked with hedge fund partners. I've met heads of state. So, and at the end of the day, everybody just has different kinds of struggles.
Yeah.
I dare say my 5-year-old, his life is just as difficult as mine. Yeah. Why can't he watch more cartoons? Why does he have to go to bed now? He's thinking about it and trying. His little mind is struggling with the things at his level. I hope he grows up someday. Yeah.
Well,
He
he will.
vegetables. Yeah, he will. But nobody changes. So basically, everybody is struggling at whatever level they are. Everybody has heartache. Everybody has had a heart broken. Everybody has had true love. I hope in a real moment of joy. So fundamentally, it all breaks down again to this inner strength that at the end of the day, we're all much closer than we think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not money. That's why it's not the money. It's not the careers. It's not how high you got. Like some work achievement is not the performance of the joy you will have. It's what you, if you can look at something with pride and have an inner pride and then be able to share that with other people, that's where you get joy and your productivity.
Yeah.
And that becomes an infinite source of energy. And so I learned it from seeing people at the most extreme differences at the economic range, at the poverty range, at ranges of power. I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And their fundamental troubles are all the same. They all need a hug.
Yeah. Well said. And I see it every single day, right? So I'm an educator by trade, which means that I have worked with all kinds of students, all kinds of teachers, all kinds of administrators, and we all put our pants on the same way, right? And we're all fundamentally in the same place. And so I shifted from teaching high school students to teaching adults about 19 years ago. And what I discovered is that teaching adults, you don't want to say it's just like teaching big kids. That's not exactly true. But what is true is all that's happened is whatever's happened to them when they were little has just magnified over the 45 years that they've had on this planet. And so they're really good at being exactly who they are. And they will show you exactly who they are. And so what I'm hearing you say is that we have a little more control over that than we recognize when we look inward and we take a minute to breathe and say, I don't want to be this person. I don't want to be angry, or I don't want to waller in this situation. I want to take this situation and make it better because that's something that I have some influence over. Beautifully said. Just all the things. And I have like 97 questions for you, and I don't have time to ask you 97 questions. So let's back up and ask this. Yeah, so I'll just have to bring you back. How does one get knighted? Like, so you have done some pretty significant things, and I don't want to downplay any of them. Those significant things have landed you in this space where you're dining with kings. But how does one get to where you are? Like, what was your path?
It's at the end of the day, it's still hard work and a lot of luck. There's the easy way and the hard way, and I always go the hard way. I really wanted to earn it. So usually with most of the knight orders, I'm knighted within the dynastic knight order of the Kingdom of Portugal. The kingdom itself doesn't exist, but the royal family still exists.
Okay.
And the knight order goes back to the 11th century. So there's a lot of history. It's recognized by Vatican. It's also knighted in Italy, where it received the honors. And basically, to have an earned title, you can be rich and famous. Yeah, that's the way. You can donate. There's lots of ways to be like an honorary knight. But I did it through service. So for me, it's by serving others, by truly trying to help. I run a foundation that's dedicated to end poverty using climate finance. So we do large scale environmental projects. We finance them and help companies go green and reach their targets. But then I created a project volume that's currently estimated to be something like $2 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, it will be. And then I gave it away.
Okay, Paul, that has to be a good story. So what made you choose to give this thing that you built with your hands away?
Yeah. Well, I used to work for a management consult. My background is business law. I structure securities. I make amazing PowerPoints, and then rich people spend a lot of money. Yeah. And I did this for a management consultants. I worked for the British government for a long, long time. And then at one point, we were doing project volumes as helping economic development. But at one point, I was reporting to the Scottish First Minister on a weekly basis. He was reading my reports on the fact that I spoke German, and the British government didn't have enough people to speak German.
Attaboy. See, you know what?
Exactly.
All your skills matter.
Yeah, well, it's a hard work, the right timing. Just when they opened up a project volume that was worth billions, and they needed some specialists, I happened to be there. And then I could have gone anywhere in the world. They offered me like a big position, a senior vice president, financial markets, United States, a paid penthouse apartment with a view of the Empire State Building to then wine and dine with Wall Street people. I said, do you know what? No, I want to go and work in Africa because I've never worked in Africa at that point. And instead of drinking champagne with Wall Street people, I was behind like barbed wire and guys with machine guns saying, it was safe. That's just what Africa is sometimes. Sure. But I got evacuated because of drone strikes. I got evacuated because of a plague outbreak once. I once had to cross an Ebola quarantine zone and fun stuff. But that was also to bring stuff to refugee camps, to help bring water to remote communities, to help build that kind of infrastructure, help build schools. And then basically they offered me any position in the world. I was based in Africa, and then I quit. I quit, and because I said I don't want to do this for the government or for hedge funds. I want to try and create impact for the people who are here, because I know the hedge funds now. They know me. I am a specialist in this very niche field. So I was able to create these carbon certificates. So now we can help companies become green. So all those net zero targets, this United Nations goal, I'm accredited. I'm a United Nations advisor on the Global Climate Conference, all these things. But the main difference is usually it's run by huge hedge funds who are managing these things, or companies like Shell, big oil companies. And I'm like one of the few people who's like, hey, I have all the contacts, I have all the knowledge, I already know the kingdoms and the governments, so I can build it myself. And then we're creating this vast value, which is about to be turned into real wealth. But I already live at the beach. I already have happy kids. I already have everything I need. So I was true to my word. And then I took everything from a private company and put everything into the GRO Foundation, which it is today. So now we're using the turnover from the sales of these certificates to then create water security, food security, education and skills centers, advocacy, basically to help communities lift out of poverty by not just, teaching them how to fish. Anybody can do that. Yeah. We'll buy a fishing boat, a fishing rod. We'll buy the wife a restaurant because she's an amazing cook. Then there's more tourists. So the son now becomes a tourist guide, or they have to open a hotel. And then somebody learns marketing to export products internationally. That's how you end poverty. And we don't have to ask for charity. We don't have to ask for donations. We built something and we're building it with the communities. And I guess instead of lots and lots of money and a golden watch, Ed gave me a knighthood title. So that was nice too, right?
And I think that's worth a whole lot more, right?
It is. It is. I sleep very, very well. And I mean, it's just everybody, that's why I say work-life balance. If you know your life and you know the number you need, everything beyond that is maybe some extra security. But then beyond that, I can look after my children. I can look after my family. I can look after my wider family. I can help my friends. My sister lives in Australia. I can fly to Australia.
Yeah.
And my bed is big enough. I eat enough food. There's not more at some point.
Yeah.
And I try to live that.
Well, circling all the way back to what you said at the beginning, life is about participation, and
Yes.
you have participated fully, and you're far from done. But what I appreciate most about your story is that you're inspiring other people to do what you do. You're a waymaker. You remove barriers so that people have better lives, but you live that yourself. And that's what I think is most inspiring about you, Paul, is you are, you could just, this is just who you are. There is no pretense.
I'm afraid of my grandma. That's the truth. I'm just afraid of my grandma.
Oh, well, you know what? And she taught you well to behave yourself accordingly and do all the things right so that you could be just unbelievably exceptional. How would somebody find you, Paul, if they just want to pick your brain about the brilliant things that you've created or want to be a part of what you're doing? How would people find you?
Okay. Well, usually I spend my time knee deep in mud in some village somewhere. Yeah. Or I'm in some boardrooms. My contrast there is also very big. If they want to see what we're doing, we are very active on social media. GRO Foundation. So www.grofoundation.org is our website. We're a Swiss regulated foundation. And then all our social media sites. You can see videos. You can see the work we're creating. You can see the impact we're creating. And anybody who wants to join us, good ideas for creating impact. Yeah, I am dedicated to help other businesses scale. This is a very, very much an open door, and there's so much work to be done. If anybody listening feels like actually trying to make a difference, yeah, and is patient with themselves, I'm in.
And GRO does not have a W on it, correct? It's GRO.
No, exactly. It's GRO. It's GRO.
Okay.
Artificial name. That's my entire.
I want people to find you, and if they type in GROW, they might end up in a totally different place. So GRO Foundation.
That's true. Thank you so much, GRO Foundation.
Go check that out. And Paul, you're the kind of person we all need a little more of in our life. The kind of person who brings light and life and chooses that every single day. So last question before my rapid fire. What advice would you have for your 25-year-old self that you wish somebody had whispered in your ear so that you could have gotten to where you are faster, different, better? Is there anything you'd tell your 25-year-old self?
Oh God, can we go to the rapid fire question?
That's
a very good question. No. So what different? So it's basically be more patient and trust yourself. There are 5 things to measure yourself by. I think when you look at yourself, one is and you need all 5 to succeed. One is just the inner drive. When you wake up in the morning, do you have that inner drive to really get something done and be responsible for the results? Some people have that. They have just this inner ambition. The next is interest. If you're not, you might have this massive inner drive, but if you're not interested in the topic, there's no point in building it. So I always do everything with a 10-year mindset. If this doesn't help me, every decision you make sure that is valuable 10 years from now. And that, because especially when you're younger, you do many things and everybody wants to get to the top really, really fast. But if you can be at the top of whatever you're doing at 25, that means 10 years later, a different 25-year-old with more energy can replace you.
Yeah.
And you have costs on family and all these other responsibilities. So always go for skill stacking with a 10-year mindset. Do you have the energy to really see it through? Do you have true interest to do this long term? Because it's all inner qualities. Yep. What's your talent? What's your talent in it? What's your experience? And then what is your education? Yeah? Or the training for those things. And you don't have to be perfect in all of these things. With an inner drive and interest, people can get through something. Some people just have a natural talent and they can just wing it, but they're not trained. Other people through true determination and training can do that. But these 5 things are the foundation of everything. So when you make a decision and I think with a 10-year mindset, don't do anything for the quick buck now, because a lot of people end up chasing something quick now, and they always stay stuck at the first step because they're always looking for something quick. And the worst thing that can happen to a talented person is success for the wrong reasons.
So well said. So true. And if that's the answer that almost stumped you, I would love to keep talking to you. That was a fabulous answer. And my reason for asking is both selfish and important. So the selfish is I have 24-year-old twins and now a daughter-in-law. And so I'm watching these young adults figure their way out, right? And where do I belong and what do I do? So I'm always looking for advice for them. Not that they always listen, but still looking for advice. But I also
it doesn't get better.
I also knew that whatever you would say to a 25-year-old is going to also minister to every leader listening to this podcast, because we forget sometimes that we're never too old to revamp, to rethink, to approach things differently. And you are just such an inspiration for all of that I'm really glad I asked that question. So you said inner drive, interest, talent, experience, and education. I fully put my stamp of approval on all 5. Yes. Okay, now are you ready for rapid fire questions?
I'm ready. Bring it on.
Okay, all right. This is going to be fun. Speaking of, what is your definition of fun?
My definition of fun? Oh, that runs on the balance. Pure excitement that makes you forget the day. So do something weird, do something way out of your comfort zone. I did medieval reenactment. A 2-meter tall Viking tried to hit my head with an axe. I didn't think of work at all.
Gonna guess you did it. And that sounds like fun for sure. All right. How do you know that you are showing up as your authentic self?
If you consistently do things even when they're hard, you know that you're true to yourself. And integrity means that you don't always take the easy path. But I spend a lot of time saying no to stay on my path. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to say no. Okay. How do you channel your best self on your worst days?
You have to take everything with a sense of humor. I try to put myself into the future and be like, wow, this is terrible. How could I make fun of that? This is really bad. So the thing is, if I know I can get up in the morning, so as long as you have this one little bet you can continue, you can get up. There's nothing. If you have this inner drive, if you're not doing it for medals, if you're not doing it for anything, it doesn't matter how utterly destroyed you are, just continue. Maybe to that, I make a lot of fast decisions. And I work with a lot of data. So I make a lot of mistakes, but because I make a lot more decisions than most people, I make a lot more correct mistakes. And I have a lot more data to learn from. Not by locking myself away and thinking about something forever. I do think a lot. I do read a lot.
I believe it.
I get a lot of data. But at the end of the day, making a lot of decisions with confidence, knowing that, hey, things could not work out, but you did your best.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, learn from that and do it again. Because yesterday doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Every day is the day where you start to continue. And I'm not just saying this as an Instagram quote. I really mean it. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. Yeah. If you're standing and you can move and have just an inkling of the energy, the inner drive to do something, do it and fail again.
Yeah.
And then fail again, and then fail again, and then it'll work.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you're paralysis by analysis and you don't do anything, then nothing happens, right? And we wonder why. And it's because we haven't done anything. Love it. Okay. Again, this is not going to be an easy question. I know where we were trying to head. I know where we landed, and I can't wait to hear your answer. So, by nature, our brains can only hold on to one major thing in a 30-minute time slot. So if you have to leave people with one major idea, what's the one thing you want to leave people with today, Paul?
If there's just one thing to remember, and everybody listening, internalize that. Be kind to strangers for no reason. It's that we could solve all the world's problems tomorrow if we just internalize that. It's a very simple thing.
That's a mic drop moment. And that's what you do every single day. You are helping those who can't help themselves yet help themselves. And you are doing so in such a beautiful way. Thank you so much for sharing your brilliance today. Thank you for your inner joy. Thank you that you don't hide that joy, that you let it out. And thanks for being a guest on Productive Joy. I am thrilled that our paths crossed.
Same here. And let's stay connected. There's a lot of things we can talk about. Because at the end of the day, we got to do things.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for
Yes. Once we know better, we have to do better. So listeners, my goodness, if you didn't catch all that, rewind, start over, listen again, because there were all kinds of nuggets of wisdom that can truly change not just your trajectory, but your daily walk. And I think that people like Sir Paul Flynn come along once in a lifetime, and you've got to latch on to all of the brilliant things that they say. So as always, I need you to do something with this information. It's one thing to hear it. It's something else entirely to change practice. So today I challenge you to figure out a way to turn fun into action.